Unfortunately, a lot of people are not talking. So myself and Senator Bell are working on something at the behest of Mr. Simone and the organization. We've reached out to Jack Reed's office, Senator Reed. They've been tremendous. Mark Hayward, we had a conference call with him. He's doing everything he can to keep us abreast. And, obviously we want to be on the forefront with this. If we need to be the trailblazers, we're not afraid to do it. We've done it. And we feel that Apples Avenue, in particular in Federal Hill, is an economic engine for the state of Rhode Island. And we don't want to shut that spigot off. And, it's disturbing that, restaurateurs have to, lay off, fire, their waitresses, their waiters, their busboys, their bartenders. These are all people in the community. And several of them live up here. I'm sure you're going to be running into some. And it's sad. They're going to lose their houses, they're going to lose their families, they're going to lose, I'm sure they're getting at each other's nerves, with their neighbor, with their significant others, with their children. Many of them are single parents. And we need to keep them working, we need to keep them occupied, we need to put monies in their pockets. And the insurance industry, as you know, insurances are not only about insurance, they have other investments. They own banks, they do loans, they do whatever, car loans, whatever, home loans. They're multi-billion-dollar industries. We're the low end of the totem pole here, and we need to share some of those profits. They've been receiving profits for years. And look, this is not about us and them. We want to work collaboratively with them. And if it needs, some good legislation, I think that we have the support. We have heard the naysayers saying, well, it's part of the contract. It's an act of God. Well, not really. I think this is a contract that can be amended. All contracts can be amended, especially if both parties agree.
Well, you mentioned it before that, hey, they want to collect their premiums. That's how insurance companies stay in business.
Sure.
If they don't have businesses to collect premiums from, they're going out of business
Correct.
themselves. So
Correct.
what's good for the goose is good for the gander
Sure.
in this situation.
Sure, and if people are going to be bankruptcy, I've already received about 20 calls for bankruptcies in the last couple of weeks, and I don't do a lot of bankruptcies. It's disturbing. This restaurant, there's a business that's in this neighborhood, some 70, 80 years. John, I need help. It was like, these are businesses that I always thought were successful. But guess what? They've been on a shoestring for a while. And especially in the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's really been the kick in the teeth. How do we get money? So we need bridge loans to get to the SBA loans, to get to, to keep the doors open, to keep the people working. Again, to keep people, keep the neighborhood what it is. This neighborhood is gentrifying in some ways, but it's also, it reflects the changing dynamics in the cities, especially in the major cities. That's why we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that. We're in a very good position in this neighborhood, and we think we're the example for how neighborhoods should be, and especially the Commerce Association. They've stepped up. They're doing what they need to do, and certainly we're going to do what we have to do. Senator Bell and myself, he's trying to sponsor something on the Senate side. I have my bill on the House side. I understand that several other reps have put some legislation, or want to submit some legislation, but obviously we're not in session. Some of the leadership feels that we shouldn't be in session. Well, I think somehow there's a thing called the computers and the internet. There's a thing called Zoom, and
kids are doing
well, and that was my statement 2 weeks ago. I said, if the children can do it, why can't we? What could it cost? A couple of $100,000, $300,000-$400,000 to set this up? The JCLS budget is $57 million. We can't put a couple of $100,000 aside to do the people's business now when they need us the most.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about what your efforts are with the legislation. Specifically how you guys are trying to work to, I guess, circumvent the current situation of the insurance policies and make sure that we don't lose what we have here.
Well, the legislation would deal specifically with business interruption, and the enforcement thereof. In every contract there's exclusions, and one of them is act of God. Well, God is a forgiving person, I would think, a forgiving being, And this is not what I think was his intent, that this was an act of God. I doubt it. Maybe somebody else's that's a little further down the scale, but not that. That's for sure. And I think this is a business decision. This is an adult decision. Put your differences aside. The insurance lobby's going to do what they have to do, and I get that. But this is all about the almighty dollar. And again, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I can show you this. I deal with insurance companies quite a bit in my law practice. They're not skipping a beat. They're working from home, and they're negotiating and doing what they have to do. So they're not losing anything. But I can assure you that, little Mary, little Joey that work in these restaurants up here, they're at home twiddling their thumbs, figuring, how do I get my next dollar? How do I eat? How do I keep a roof over my head? How do I put gas in my car? And I can assure you that in some instances, it's not happening. They're sacrificing one for the other. Their cars have not moved, if they have a car.
Yeah, I've actually talked to someone about that when they said, man, have you seen the gas prices? Like,
Sure.
great, no one's going anywhere with that.
Well,
No
exactly.
one needs to fill up the gas tank right now.
Exactly. And I've had a full tank for like 2 weeks. And, I travel quite a bit, around the state. And, which is okay with me. But, again, I'm fortunate. I can afford to do it. Most people can't.
One thing that I think is important about this area specifically, and I know, there's plenty of neighborhoods with restaurants and everything, but there's also plenty of cities where people commute from Boston down or
Sure.
from Smithfield down. But it seems like in Federal Hill, people live in Federal Hill, work in Federal Hill, the restaurant employees
Sure.
and things like that. So it's not just the restaurants that are going to be feeling the impact, but it could be neighborhoods,
Yeah.
full triplexes and duplexes
Sure.
that suddenly no one's living there. So, can you
Well,
talk a little bit about
sure.
why the impact isn't just business related?
Yeah, and I thought I touched upon it before, but you're exactly right. The impact is it's geometrical. It's not arithmetical. People start. They can't pay their leases. They can't pay their mortgages. They can't pay. Simple things. Again, if their food costs every week are $100, they're probably spending only $50 now. They may be spending $25. They're trying to make it stretch. I'm glad that they have to eat a lot more pasta. That's a good thing, as you know. But, you can't have pasta every night. And if you're a diabetic, it's a problem. So, but, sure, it's geometric. I mean, this thing has ramifications that go so far that, we don't want to see, apartments being abandoned, because they're going to have the landlords want to get paid. They have to, pay the mortgage. They have to pay their taxes. They have to pay their insurance policies. They have to pay their heating. They have to pay the water bill. We get all that. But
State taxes.
Federal taxes, whatever they're going to pay. But unless you try and keep it together and be part of the solution rather than part of the problem, and I think hopefully the insurance industry. Now, obviously, I have not spoken to anybody in the insurance. For full disclosure, I haven't done that. But I would love to see the leadership, House, Senate, and the governor speak with, the insurance industry. Okay, look, you need to step up. Cut it out. Step it up. Keep people in their homes. Keep people safe. They talk about the schools being, warm and dry and safe. That's the way we want people in the neighborhoods because, we don't want anarchy here. And they're talking, some people are projecting that, this thing may go on another 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks. That's it's going to be quite an endeavor just to stick around. Look, I find some people being, nice about this here, but there's others that are just nasty. Just stop. Let's do what we have to do.
As a last question for you, and
Sure.
I'll let you get out of here. As a state leader, a local businessman, and a guy in the neighborhood, what are you hearing from people throughout the neighborhood about what they're seeing, how these changes are impacting just the day-to-day life, not even necessarily inside a business, but for just the people who you interact with on the day-to-day?
Yeah, sure. I mean, people concerned about, how are they going to pay their rent? How are they going to put food on their table? How are they going to interact with their children? With their significant others? They can't talk to their loved ones. Some have grandparents or a parent. You mentioned, grandparents earlier. You're right. They can't even be in their presence. We're concerned over the, COVID-19. It's sad. And especially, being Italo-American. We like to hug. We like to kiss. We like to, show our affection. And we can't do it anymore. we got to rub elbows. We got to, high five. We got to, from a distance, and say, that's certainly not my style. I like to be a warm person. I like to hug. I like to say, how you doing? But you can't do it anymore. You just can't do it. It's a complete no-no. And you got to lead by example. Being a leader in the community, I can't. I want to do it, but I can't.
I know I told you last question.
That's okay.
Promise last one.
No,
here.
you take your time.
I asked Mr. Simone the same thing. What message do you have to the community about what they need to be doing, and then what message do you have to the other state leaders about what you need to see from them?
Yeah, and I think I think it can summarize by what I said earlier. I mean, obviously, put your let's get in the room. Let's do what we need to do. I think everybody's going to have to give a little, including the insurance industry. Let's show leadership in that direction. Let's make sure that we can keep these businesses open. I don't want to hear that, businesses that have been here 60, 70 years may not ever open their doors again. It's very disconcerting to me. These are places that I grew up in, playing as a little child, going to shop there with my grandmother, my mom. I don't want to hear that. I mean, it's very disturbing that. I mean, I know, things have to change, but not in this way. And also, this neighborhood is known as being a leader, being trailblazers, and being a fighters. We're fighters in this neighborhood. You know what? We'll lead the charge. If everyone else is afraid to do it, we'll do it. The fight can start from here, but pay attention to the health industry. Pay attention to the governor. I think the governor's doing a tremendous job about, trying to, but let's be smart. Let's be smart. The holidays are coming up. Let's be smart. And, hopefully rather this thing will get done quicker rather than later. We want to get this thing done now, not, 5 weeks from now, not 6 weeks from now, because this is going to have an effect that way. If we open the restaurants in 6, 7, 8 weeks, how many weeks is it going to take before people feel comfortable going to a restaurant? I mean, you're going to have that psychology. Yeah. And, the summer's going to be here. The beaches are closed. The parks are closed. Are we going to have to shut our beaches down? Are they going to remain closed all summer long? These are one of our greatest assets. As I said earlier, I'm going to come full circle. Federal Hill's an economic engine for the state of Rhode Island and a trailblazer. We need to get this open now.